Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another episode on the TerraVentures realm. It's Magpies here, and once again I'm starting things off back at the skyscraper city base. Now let's just go back into first person, like that. So today we're going to be doing something that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, which is focus on a trading station. Now this thing over here has been pumping out a lot of the bone meal. We can see that all of these chests are now full up to here, so that's 5 times 3, that's nearly 15 chests of bone meal, which is quite a bit. In addition, so I've had to turn off the production line because this is completely full. This is getting full. From some reason potatoes and carrots still don't work. This can't be traded. This eventually could be traded. These things aren't very full, but I put them in later. So there's quite a few things in there to be traded. In addition, I've been using the Guardian farm quite a bit as well, and while we've cooked up quite a bit, we've got a lot of uncooked cod, and that also can be traded. So we are going to start up a trading station, and what I'm thinking of is having an entire floor full of one kind of villagers, so say fishermen villagers. Then the next floor can be for beetroot trading villagers, and another one for carrots, and another one for potatoes, and so on and so forth. So we might have one skyscraper over here somewhere just for the, emerald gathering one, so the fish and the cod and the so on and so forth. And then we might do another one for any other items we might want to trade, but we'll work on that later. I do have a design I'm thinking of in a creative world, and I'll just hop over right now to show you what it is. And this is the design I'm thinking of going for. The blocks itself might change a little bit, so I might use wood, a little bit more wood, but the basic design is like this. Now, how it works is that obviously the villager gets put in here, and we have his trading station back here, in this case the barrel for the villager, and we have his bed on top. Now I'm not sure if the villager actually needs to sleep to reset his trades. That is something I'm going to have to test, but I have tested this, and if I just pop back into survival for a second, game mode survival, there we go, you can see that I have actually got quite a bit of experience from these, and a lot of these guys want to trade with me, which is nice. So let's go back into creative. So these villages are tradable. I do get experience from them. Now the next bit I need to figure out is the format, or the size of the thing. Now I've got 5 here. I could have another 5 coming across here, and then 5 coming down here, leaving a space here. But bearing in mind they also need to have a space for going up to the next level. So I might need to work on that as well. So, or just have a little space back here, so leave out this one on the back wall, and that leads to the tunnel, the water fountains going up to the next level, the bubble columns I should say. And there's a little cat, which means that this is actually turned into a village. One of the unfortunate things that this will do is that it is going to create a village, so I'm going to have to be careful where I put it and make sure it's far enough away from the farming tower to make sure that the farmers don't start losing their ability to farm and all that, because that's something I have experienced. So time to get back into the realm and test it fully out, where I can put the trading station, as well as the design layouts in particular. However, before I start on the villager's trading station, some of the boys of Antarctic, so Morbid Panda and Tice, have asked me to help out with Antarctic, of which I am a part of. We are currently outside our aquarium shop, or not our aquarium shop, our under the sea shop by Antarctic. So what it's going to be is selling all the drops from our Guardian farm, minus the fish, I believe. So what we want to do is make this into an aquarium type. So I'm just digging out quite a bit of space down here, and then we can get started on putting all the coral and extra bits in, which should be quite fun. Now how it's going to work is that this over here is going to be the floor. We're going to have chests up here, and then down here we're going to have hopefully a little bit better walls than what we've got currently, but there will be coral, there will be fish underneath, maybe a dolphin if we can catch it, I'm not sure, and maybe a few other things that will be of extreme prettiness, and coral of course, because that's one of the major things that we want to put in, not to be sold, but just to make it look nice. So, and yeah, so it's going to be a little bit work in progress. So we're going to have a few updates, and when it's done, we shall see the finished project. Okay, and a bit of a progress update. We've now filled in all the prismarine. We've now got quite a bit of an aquarium. I think Panda's going to be putting in some coral, and I'm going to take care of tropical fish. So I'll do that off camera though. So I'm going to get all the fish and then put them in, and then show you what it looks like. And that's probably another change I probably should have made, putting in some sea lanterns. But thank you, Panda, for doing that. So this shop is going to be open for business soon, and that is quite a good thing. Okay, and now that this thing has been fully filled up with some tropical fish and of course the coral by Panda, I think it's time to leave this place, because I'm not quite sure where we want all the chests and payment stuff for that, so I'll leave that to the other guys. It's time for me to head back to my main base and continue work on the villager trading stations. Anyway, after that little hop back to the shopping district to finish off that shop, we now are back at my base, and we're just starting to think about where, how big this, this trading station is going to be. Now, if we remember our one in creative mode, we've got something like this. I'm trying to decide how many segments to have. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 on this side, and then we want to have a little bit of a space back here as well to go up 4 bubble columns. So if we have something like this maybe, and then 1, 2, no, not like that. We want to have maybe, let's have 4 on the back line. So 1, 2, 3, 4 with a little passageway, and boom, and then we can come round for this side's trading station. So if we come up like this, a couple more, I think 1, 2, boom, 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 down there and there. So that leaves, I think that's 10 villages, so that's quite a big trading station, and of course we can have maybe a couple more in the center. But what we want back here is a nice area in which to have bubble columns. So this is really, that is important, that bit's going to be important. So we come through here to get to the next bubble columns, and we can have quite a few back here, one going up to the next level, and one going up to the second level, and so on and so forth. So now I think I need to start building up this thing. So putting in all the quartz slabs, quartz stairs. So something like this, and this shouldn't take too long though. So once again, back into building this bit, and then coming back when I've got it done. Okay, and we're back, and we've got quite a bit of a start in here. We've got our 14 trading stations all set up. What we do need to do is get our villagers in, which I'll work on eventually. And unlike what we've got in the creative version, I had a bit of a test. So once we put a villager in and the bed is on top, the villager should then sync up to this barrel, and therefore become a fisherman. To make sure that he stays a fisherman, you need to trade with him. So therefore, once we trade with him, we can get rid of the bed, and that should work. Now, I did note that this thing isn't actually quite square, or it's not going to be square anyway, since we've got 6 here and only 4 here. What I really want to do is make this one 3 wide instead of 2 wide. So that means I'm going to have to demolish all of one side and rebuild it, which is a bit unfortunate. But that shouldn't take too long, and then I can get started on making the rest of this bit look nice. And just a little bit more of an update. As you can see, I've now figured out a layout for the center, I suppose you could call it a console, a center bit for the villagers. I'm just going to put 4 in each, because I need to make sure that the center point has some bits, which I've forgotten actually. I need to make some more barrels, but anyway, so I need to make sure that each villager has his own workstation, and therefore can replenish his trades. So I need to firstly make a couple more barrels. I've also put in a roof. I've made this one out of jungle to sort of give a slight bit of difference between the oak and the dirt paths. So that, I think that looks a little bit better. I could probably put a bit of red or something in here to make just a little bit of extra color. Also, I have put in this little bit back here, which I haven't actually put in any roof yet. And this bit is going to form the backbone of our transport system. So going up to the next few levels. what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to start work on the villager breeders. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, find some YouTube tutorials, and figure out exactly what would be the best system, bearing in mind that I need to fill up these things. At the same time, I think I need to also, well, there's quite a few bits to do. I need to also put in the water elevators. I also need to build up all the remaining towers, so I need to put in at least another 4 for the wheat, for the carrots, for the potatoes, and the beetroot. So that's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to do a bit more progress and come back when I've got some more things done. And here we go. We've now got our villager breeder. Now we just need to get some breeding material in, so the carrots and the potatoes and whatnot into this chest up here, and the villagers into up here. I do need to fill that a bit, but someone has requested that no one sleep, so I do need to get across to there and get the glass up, but that shouldn't take too long. So after that, I just need to put the villagers in, and then baby villagers should start coming out pretty quickly. Now, this may not be the fastest design in the world. It is a design by Skippy6, and from what he said, I think it's 20 villagers an hour. I don't really need that many. I don't need this thing to be pumping out thousands of villagers an hour, because this thing itself hasn't yet been built, and I need to get in the villagers itself. I need to do quite a little bit more building. So the 5 villagers an hour should be more than enough to fill up this thing, especially if I go AFK a few times and just channel the villagers out into a holding cell over here to be put into their compartments down here. Well, after a little bit of letting this little villager breeder over here run for a bit, I've now got 2 baby villagers, although I did put this guy in a compartment and I just forgot he could actually get out. But thankfully he's just actually got into one himself, so if I just do trapdoors here, this guy should hopefully not grow and suffocate in there, but he should be able to. He should now grow up and stay in that little compartment. So what I'm going to do now is continue to get some more villagers, put them in the compartments, and start transforming them into the fisherman villagers that I need. Okay, and as you can see now, I've traded with these guys. I got these guys up to the point where they will do raw cod. I will eventually get them up to the journeyman level, so they can do salmon as well. And this guy I've got up to level 2 as well. I was a little bit silly in how I did the emeralds, but that can't really be helped. So what I'm going to do now is go AFK for a couple of hours, and hopefully this thing continues to breed up some villagers. I think from what Skippy6 said, it does about 20 villagers an hour or something like that. So hopefully I'm going to be AFK for about 4 hours or so. So hopefully there's a number of villagers in here by the time I get back. So I'm going to cut here and hopefully come back. And when I come back, there should be a number of villagers in this compartment ready to go. Well, the AFK session completely failed. There's absolutely no villagers down here, and I have noticed that some of these villagers, which were originally farmer villagers, I believe, have now turned into fishermen. I think that's because they're now linking to these ones over here. So I did destroy the beds, and these guys have now started throwing food at each other, which is a positive sign, but I'm starting to think that this thing is too close to over here, like I said. So what I'm going to try and do is move this entire thing. Hopefully I can oh, that's not what I want to do. Hopefully I can get enough stuff to... What am I thinking? What am I saying? Hopefully I can get enough villagers back into the compartment when over there, and it shouldn't be too hard to move all this stuff, especially since I've built it already. So I'm going to move this thing possibly to the other side of my base. That should be far enough away from here for these guys to start breeding up again. Rightio, as we can see, we've now rebuilt the villager breeder over here. It is slowly breeding up. It's got 2 villagers already. Now over here I had to kill off these villagers over here because I wasn't quite sure what trading station these guys were at. So for the villagers to reset their trades, they need to be linked to a trading station, in our case a barrel, and be able to access that trading station. Now I wasn't sure what... Now, I would have put a villager into here, and I'm not sure if the barrel behind him was the one he was actually trying to access, so he might have been trying to access, say, this one over here, and since he couldn't access it, his trade would never reset. So what I'm going to have to do now is every time I put a new villager in, I'm going to firstly put the villager in, put the barrel into his, put the trading station into his little part, and then plop a bed down, and hopefully he links up. If and when he does, I'll then trade with him to lock his trade in, and that should work perfectly. So it's time to start getting these villagers from over at my breeder and to get my trading station filled up with firstly the fisherman villagers. Okay, I'm getting really confused now. These guys have switched between clerics and what do you call them? Clerics and leather workers. And what are these guys? And butchers, quite a while. They keep switching between the three, but they never seem to change into the fisherman. And now, of course, now they say that guy seems to have switched into a fisherman. So he must be trying to link to this barrel, because that's the only barrel I think I've got around. So you see, that guy just changed again. There is nothing in this area that should mean he should change. The leather workers, I forget what they need. They must need the... Oh, I cannot remember. Let's kill off that thing. Of course, the clerics must need a brewing stand. I've only got one of those around. And I've got a few of those around. I've got all the potion stands there, but those are massively far away. These ones are so much closer. This barrel is so much closer, and these guys just aren't changing. It's really frustrating. So, I mean, that guy just changed again. That's just... I cannot figure out why. So if you do know why, and why that might be so, just let me know down in the comments. The annoying thing is that I think they should be changing to farmers, because I've got all the composters in there, and all their bits and bots should be so far away that they shouldn't be changing. So yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum that I'm still trying to work on. And now that guy changes into a farmer, he's looking at the composter. And that's enough of my ranting. And now, alright, now you've changed. Now I need to quickly trade with you to lock you in. Alright, so I think this fisherman villager is connected to this barrel, because I did hear the opening and closing sound of the barrel without me actually doing it. Hopefully this guy decides to oblige and do it for me, but this guy over here is now going to be the next problem. I'm trying to get him to link to here, so I might just leave it a few days, because it seemed that just a bit of time might do it. Again, I'm still not sure. If you do know why, just let me know again down in the comments. So once again, it's going to be a slow process to fill up all 20 villagers in here, which is going to be a really slow process. I'm not looking forward to it, but at the end of the day, it is going to be for the greater good, for the betterment of getting lots and lots of emeralds, which will of course help my beacons. I think instead of doing the traditional iron-based beacon with all the tons of iron farms, I think I'm going to try and do a beacon with lots of emeralds, because that's something I can get pretty easily, especially if I've got a 5 or 6 story emerald producing what do you call this thing, a villager trading station. So that's just going to be the project that I'm going to do. And now that guy's decided to connect to this barrel. Alright, so now I'm going to try and get this guy in. It's really a conundrum, but anyway. So it's just moving villager time, and hopefully I can finish this really quickly. Although given the production rate of my villager breeder, it'll probably take a few days of real time. I have discovered something a little bit interesting with these guys. I was pretty sure that when you traded with them a few times, that the amount that would take in exchange for an emerald would go down. So, for example, from 15 maybe down to 10. But it turns out these guys are going up. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not, but it is a little bit interesting there. One thing that's also good is that this guy is now taking, or will take, when I get up to that point, will take clownfish, which is going to be good, because I do have, if we switch back over to my storage system over here somewhere, which will take just a short time. Let's go over here. And we have quite a bit of clownfish, which I got from AFK fishing. So that is going to be quite useful in the future, especially since I need to do a bit more AFK fishing to stock up our bookshop, Antarctic's bookshop, which is rather low on stock at the moment. So that will be really useful. Well, after a couple of hours, it was a lot of hours, but anyway, we've managed to get ourselves just 8 villagers. Now these ones I sort of forgot to put the barrel in the top one, but I don't think it's going to matter too much, although it does sort of ruin the pattern, which if you know me, if you're looking at all these kind of things, you know I like patterns. But anyway, so I also changed my mind as to how many villagers I'm going to have of each type. So I just had the thought that 20 villagers just doing fishermen is probably just a little bit too many. So I think I'll stick with 8. At some point, I've already traded with these guys, so they're stuck as fishermen. So I think I'm going to stick with 8, and that should be enough to slowly reduce the number of fish I have in my inventory, as well as be able to trade any bits I do get and mass trade them at that. So what I need to do now, which I'll probably do in a future episode, maybe two episodes from now, is I'm going to slowly fill these things up with other villages. So I'm not quite sure what to put in the middle here or in here, but at some point there will be lots of farmers, there will be librarians to get rid of paper. What else am I mass producing? The farmers are going to be bumped up so they can deal with all the pumpkins, and eventually I'm going to figure out if I can get potatoes and carrots working again, but I should be able to slowly get rid of all this amount of beetroot, which is, if you look, that's a lot of beetroot. I didn't have nearly that much wheat because I used quite a bit to start the villager breeder. But at any rate, I believe that's all I've got time for today. So if you have liked this episode, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep watching out for the next one. Goodbye.